Hola, bienvenidos. Hello, welcome. I'm Melia Bensussen, thrilled to be Artistic Director of Hartford Stage and to welcome you to episode 2 of this season's Seen and Heard. I'm checking what year this is of our series. I think it's the 4th year of Seen and Heard. Never mind, it's our 61st season. We're thrilled to welcome you to Seen and Heard yet again. And today, Seen and Heard continues its on-location recording. And today, we are at the Harriet Beecher Stowe House at the Stowe Center for Literary Activism. We're just 10 minutes from our theater. I'm so glad I could welcome our guest artists here along with the wonderful hosts that run the center. The center today encourages social justice and literary activism by exploring the legacy of Harriet Beecher Stowe and all who advocated for freedom and justice. It does seem really fitting for Dickens, right, who really made it his task, his career, or part of it at least, to really point out the social needs of the society he was living in. And of course, we get to be here today because we're celebrating the return of A Christmas Carol to our stage. We're returning with this production. We're so grateful for the 4 of you joining me for this conversation. This adaptation's been on our stage for almost 25 years. So that's pretty cool. Adapted by Michael Wilson and directed by the wonderful Michael Wilson this season as well. And here we are welcoming these people to talk to you, to talk with me about what it means to do Christmas Carol right now and what it's like to be in it. So I'll do this in order, right? Alan Gilmore returning as our Scrooge. We're so happy you're back. Last year was your debut as our Scrooge. May you never leave. A little, if I had fairy dust or something to say that we'd always have you. Rebecka Jones, thrilled that you're back with us.
Thank you.
Right, as Christmas passed. We'll talk more about all the other things all these folks do in this production. John, Andrew, Morrison, Jam, thrilled you're here with us as Christmas present and other things. And Mauricio, tu apellido, perdóname, Mauricio Miranda, who is here as Mr. Marvel and... Right? And I'll let Mauricio talk more about that in a minute. So I'm thrilled that you're here with me in this gorgeous space to talk about what is for us just an incredibly important production every year, right? And so thrilled you're here. We were saying right before we started, they're about to move on stage. They move on stage for our technical rehearsals on Friday. It's good. And we welcome you to performances a week from this Friday, which is Thanksgiving. It's a week before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Right? And we start the
Friday
20. Yes, the Friday, the 22nd. I think is our first public performance, our first preview. So, but look, I've just spooked them all. Now I have just made it a ghost story of Christmas. I have made them all feel. So, in a word, and I know there are so many words, but to throw it out to the 4 of you, what is Christmas Carol about to each of you? So, Alan, I'll start with you. Forgiveness. Rebecka? Hope. Do you think everyone knows the story by now, Jam? What do you think? What does the story tell you?
I mean, it's about redemption was the word that I was going to say, and I would hope people know the story by now. It is a wonderful story about the possibility of redemption, and that we can, no matter how old or no matter how far along we have gone with the choice that we have made, we can make another choice.
I love that.
And have another view of the world and another experience of this thing we call life. So, yeah.
But it's always new to somebody.
Mauricio to throw in, and then I want to.
I think Jan mentioned my word that I was going to say, choices. I think
choices.
That's a word that keeps coming back to me, especially now that I am heavily involved more in Act 2. And see the consequences of it.
It must be interesting to feel that.
All right, so wait, I want to come back to this. I want to talk about what is it about the story you were about to say.
It's always new to somebody, though. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. It's
because there's so many children in the show, and that means that there's so many children that come to see the show. And it can be new, completely new to them.
Yeah.
And then their parents there with them, they have an opportunity to see it through new eyes first seeing it, you know?
Part of a great story, right? Every time you hear it, you see yourself and you hear a different part depending where you are in your life. So,
Yep,
Mauricio, for you, it's so you're saying now you're more in Act 2 than when you last were part of Christmas Carol.
Yes, last year my character sort of we left my character halfway in the beginning of Act 2, and then we didn't come back to him until the end of the play. This time, I'm sort of more on stage when Alan as Scrooge is going through this redeeming process we've been talking about, and I'm noticing that it's a lot about the small choices that one of them leads to the next, and eventually it leads to the lesson. That moment that you have late in Act 2 is just magical and really fills me.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Scary.
Scary. But it's wonderful whether you're outside the story or inside the story. I think we do with all these great stories discover different things each time, right?
Well, I mean, I've been doing it
close to
21 years. And
800 and...
800, I don't know what the number is.
Did you count
now.
performances once?
Well, last
She had her
year I had
800th
my
last year.
800th
Oh,
performance
Rebecca,
at some
that's
point.
so cool.
But what's so interesting to me is that when I started, I was in my young 30s, right, as a mother of one. Now I'm in my late 50s with grown children, and I've played so many different roles. And even when I would come back as Mrs. Cratchit year after year after year, because of the age of my children, because of the things that had changed for me, coming back to the story every year was fresh. People ask me, how can you keep on doing this show? It's different every year for me. The story is different every year because I get to play different roles, or I have played different roles. I'm telling the story from a different perspective, so I get a new understanding in my role as a member of the community that works to change or to help Scrooge on his path. So it never gets old.
And I think it really reflects how, I mean, even my experience of the story has changed so much over the years as someone who's never been inside it, but has experienced it in a variety of productions. And this will be my 4th time seeing our production.
It is interesting. I mean, like, also, just as performers, we're different, and we meet it in a different way. You know, so this year will always be the year that my father passed away, and so like this is you know, one of those moments where you kind of go, just because of the story and like all of the themes in it, and it's a holiday tradition. I'm like, oh, well, this is the first time I won't get to say Merry Christmas to him. You know what I mean? Or, and what does that mean or do, and the whole thing of redemption and hope and Yeah, I don't know. It's as a performer, I'm different this year, and I know that I'm approaching it with a different experience of life this year than last year. That wasn't in the cards last year, you know what I mean?
Where we are in our lives so affects us, right? I mean, when we think about holidays and what we've been through in a year, and I think for everyone in the audience, when you come, you're probably thinking of who you last saw this production with, or who you hope to see it with, right? What child is not old enough to see it this year, but you hope they'll see it next? And what child, as you said, is seeing it for the very first time?
Yeah.
And the children in it, right? I mean, it is, I have to look at the number, because it is amazing how many.
24.
All right, there are almost 50 actors in this cast.
Goodness.
From ages 5 to 85. That's pretty good, right?
I'm the one who's 85. I didn't know that they were going to put my age out there, and I thought that you were 30. I'm surprised that you...
It is to have all these generations as part of the storytelling, and the children. I love watching the kids come to rehearsal, since we rehearse right outside our offices, and I watch the kids come in and leave their parents behind. Right? I've just seen like the parents or the aunts or the great aunts, the grandma, the grandparents bringing the kids to rehearsal, and watching the kids just leave them. Right? The parent, the aunt, trying to say one last thing, and the kids are just booking it into rehearsal. They can't wait.
Sorry, I have rehearsal.
I have rehearsal.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a working actor.
Yeah.
You know, I'll get my homework later, you know.
You know, it's true though, because Michael treats them like they are professionals.
Yes.
Like there's no talking down to them. It's very interesting.
It's a great energy in the room.
That's the great thing about the theater, though. You know, once you're out there, your commitment and your job to pull this show, you know, to what is it? Pull your own weight. It's just
real.
the same.
When
it's
you're
real.
on stage, it doesn't
We're
matter
all
what
up-
age you are.
Exactly.
You got to hit your light.
Yeah.
You got to remember your entrance. It's really a tremendous experience for kids. A lot of these kids
stage is the
too
great equalizer.
have been through our education classes, right? So there's a wonderful connection between the kids who love doing theater, who can take classes at Hartford Stage and then participate, or in the summer programs. There's something about this adaptation that I love that reminds me so much of, you know, the great storytelling like in Wizard of Oz, because you three appear in different guises. Do you want to talk a bit about that and what that's like? The vendors, we say.
We call it the vendors. I play Betty Pigeon, that then transforms into the Ghost of Christmas Past. And it's very similar to The Wizard of Oz, which...
you were there and you were there and you were there.
You have that moment.
You have that moment.
At the end, yeah.
Exactly. And you know, it's one of those, like, you don't really know, like, it is the whole thing, is it a dream? Is it really happening? And even as we're playing on stage, you know, is the magic... Are you actually being hit by magic and then being pulled in and out of it, and then
That's great.
yeah. But at the end, I mean,
You all show up at the party.
yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I have to say that for me, it's something that Mauricio, and I love the way you said his name. I'm going to start
I love how you
doing
just
that.
said it.
Mauricio.
Yeah.
Mauricio.
We were talking about how we show off with the R's.
Yeah,
No,
we-
R con
if
el
you
cigarro,
have it,
R
you
con
gotta
el
show off.
barril. How Mauricio.
The fact is that last year he was saying he was not in that role in Act 2
Right.
that is so pivotal in Scrooge's blossoming, I would like to call it.
I think that's
you know,
beautiful, yeah.
And to have each of these people here, to have Rebecca, Jam, and Mauricio to be a part of that journey, it's so rich for me as an actor and as Scrooge.
Yeah.
To have that, because I get something so resonant from each of them in both the roles that they play with Scrooge. So it's really wonderful to have you out there now, Mauricio. I should have told you that before, but now that I'm telling you on TV,
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really wonderful.
Has doing the role in the second act informed your first act?
So interesting, because I've only done it, what, 3 times?
Yeah.
But you will be doing it more.
I know, right?
By 3 times, it means that, you know, you've only run that
We've
section
only ran it
together.
3 times.
Right.
Has it changed anything?
it informed it?
It has
Yeah.
changed my understanding of Scrooge's journey. It really has. And, you know, Scrooge talks to this guy, to this spirit, to this ghost, and there's no response.
Right.
And that's one of
There's
the
Christmas
most...
future, right? Because you were Christmas
Yes.
future, and there's a silence to you.
And there's a
kind of
moment...
darkness.
I realize that it's like, you know, the time for words is past.
Right.
And it's...
Interesting.
Just watch
Your
what
experience.
the consequences of your actions could lead to.
Right.
There's no need for this ghost, this guide, to say anything anymore, but it's just revealing.
I love what you're saying, and it makes me think I was going to ask you about Scrooge's evolution through the play, but what I'm hearing, and I'm wondering, is that what's amazing about theater is that everything happens in interactions, not in privacy.
Right.
So I almost feel like you're describing your evolution in the way you respond to these three actors on stage.
Yeah, it's so, well, you know, Melia, acting is schizophrenic.
Reacting.
Yeah, it is reacting, and you know, but it's also, there's a
Yes.
schizophrenia there.
Talk more about that. I agree with you.
You know, I started teaching this class last night, Monday.
Alan's
and
teaching an acting class. as
I'm not
part of
plugging
our
it. The class is
education.
already
I am.
happening.
The class is happening, but it's a wonderful thing when we have our guests teaching as part of their residency here. So I thank you. I think it's wonderful.
But part of the thing, and you know, I was, you know, suggesting this to the class last night, is that you find where, because it's always going to be Alan. I'm bringing myself to Scrooge.
I think of actors as kind of prophets that are channeling emotions and words created elsewhere.
Right.
But you're the vehicle. That contains the prophecy.
Yeah.
That is the art. That is the poetry.
And so the reason that I say this about these people in particular is because Alan has such strong feelings for them. And also that informs Scrooge's response to them as well. Whether it's a strong feeling that is positive or a strong feeling, I think really Scrooge is first of all back on his heels each time he meets any of these people. I think particularly with Future, yes. I was going to call him Death, and that's
You do, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a reason that there are no words.
Because death is silent.
Death is silent, you know. But it's just a powerful thing that happens to the actor and to the character with the things that you bring onto the stage with the character and with these people who are your friends and who are your, you know, the anchors for you on the stage, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really wonderful.
And they're both in Christmas past and Christmas present. You both are connected to the physical life of the production in really beautiful ways. Right? Could you talk about, I mean, that's how I perceive it. Do you feel, because I feel like the way the vendors, what they're selling and the connection to the physical world is very present. I don't know if you experience it that way, Rebecca, being in it with the doll.
With the doll?
Yeah, for me the doll is really...
I do love that what's the right word? How the doll is reflected in the future, and how the giving of the doll. Then in essence, I kind of become the doll.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's such a theatrical.
It's
telling.
so theatrical, and it's and spectacular, and again, it goes back to the idea of what's really going on in Scrooge's head. You know, the reality versus the dream, and all of those different things. And I mean, I'm not going to die. I just love wearing the costume.
He looks fabulous in that costume.
Yeah.
That is pretty spectacular.
It is pretty great. And then him.
Oh, well.
Oh, my gosh.
Let's not even talk
the
about
physical
the
life
glitter.
of the show, yeah.
I'm a little envious of the glitter.
It is pretty great. It is pretty great. He's got quite the great entrance.
The robe is something.
I mean, it should get entrance applause. I mean,
Yeah.
it literally have its
Don't
own...
you get
I think you do get entrance.
I think you do.
Note to our audience, make sure when Christmas present comes in.
Which camera?
But there is something about the fact that, like, in the beginning, I'm carrying a cornucopia of things, and then arrive in this thing, and and there's something about present. I've been thinking about that kind of joy has to happen in the present, and there's something about the fact that he is so joyous until. He's not.
I mean, as actors then, how different does it feel? This is a kind of allegory, right? As you're speaking, especially the characters you three are playing, right? Because you have Scrooge, we learn your past, and I'm curious how you connect all those dots for yourself. And then for you three, these are attributes of an allegory. As an actor preparing, is it different to prepare for playing Christmas past, Christmas present, Christmas future, as opposed to any of the number of roles you've all played in more narrative structures, I would say?
I mean, I think there's always an action happening,
Right, that's
right?
what I was going to say. We're always doing something.
Yeah.
We're always, moving the story forward
Yes.
and trying to do something.
Impact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's there's an advocacy of his redemption or of his care, or that is happening. So also there's something wonderful about playing something like that is so much larger
Yes. Yes.
than just a person. Right. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that.
Absolutely.
It is such a grand idea and an ideal, and then to be able to have that like grounded in the person that we play in the beginning, and then to have something
Yeah,
that is
that's right,
so
You grow. It's the
Right.
blossoming you're talking about. You each do it. You
Yeah.
start simply as a human,
as a person.
and you grow. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That's
There's something
it's a great
wonderful
image.
to be able to be like, I'm in the universe. I'm part of the stars, or I'm part of the ether, or so, There's something wonderful about that.
One of the reasons that I'm even here is because of Jam. I mean, I don't know if I can't remember if I told, Heard and what is it here? Seen and heard. I can't remember if I told Seen and Heard last year how I came to be here.
But go ahead.
But Jam and I were in a show in New York at Classical Theater
The
Hall.
12th night.
I think that was Malvolio.
That was Malvolio.
That was Malvolio.
But I link it, right?
Yeah, it absolutely.
The 12th night version called Malvolio. That's about Malvolio.
It was actually, a new play about Malvolio by Betty Shemia.
Yay.
Wonderful playwright. But he was in the dressing room talking about the Christmas Carol here, because he knew he was going to be doing that next. And I was like, oh, wow, that sounds so great. He, was just talking it up.
Thank you,
and I
Jam.
was
We
like,
owe you an
this
agent
sounds
fee.
Great.
Dan's always talking about.
It's great.
But yeah. It was, I was like, wow, yes, Christmas Carol. I love the Christmas Carol, but I didn't
Well,
imagine.
and I know you guys are nervous now, because even though they're all tremendous pros and have done this and, have done this production before, we all always feel like we're doing something for the first time, right?
That is
There's
so
sort of
true.
a terror. So parking the terror about performances, what do you most look forward to, each of you, about performing A Christmas Carol in our Thrust Theater for these audiences here in Hartford? Are there moments from the past that come back to you, or things you particularly look forward to in terms of what it means to perform this incredible family holiday tradition in this wonderful city?
I always feel that, particularly for me playing Scrooge, that it is what I call a self-cleaning role. You can. There's
Love
so
that.
much. There's so much toxicity going around these days, Melia, if I am perfectly honest with you, and you must have it to play Scrooge.
You start with the toxicity.
You must have it, and it is real. And as I was saying, there's a schizophrenia there. And so this toxicity is mine. I have to bring it on to the stage. I put it into Scrooge, but it is mine. It is where Scrooge and I intersect in that early...
The bah humbug of
That's
all of
right.
us.
That's
we all
exactly
have
right.
that
That's
in
exactly
us.
right. And during the journey of the show, because of the interaction and how they are leading this character around and this actor around, it cleans me out at
You
the
make
end.
me want to play Scrooge.
It's fabulous. You should play
What's
Scrooge.
fun?
Everybody should play it.
We
No,
should
no,
all.
no, no.
We'll all take. No, we want you to play Scrooge.
But it
does
is a wonderful
sound like
adventure. It's such a roller coaster, and it's like you come out, whoosh, on the other side of something, and it's
Thanks to
so
your
joyful.
performance, we do all play
Yes,
Scrooge.
yes.
Because we follow you, and we're moved by you, and we respond to all of you the way you do. So we do get to, thanks to
There's
you.
a cleaning for everybody.
That's right. That's right.
And a
It's-
cleaning
sharing
for us,
the-
and then we help him through his journey.
Yeah.
yeah. So you feel that as well?
I do. I also feel, I remember last year at one point, I've always had kind of a love-hate relationship with the curtain call.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't as an actor, you know, I kind of prefer anonymity, even though I understand completely, you know, the breaking of disbelief and
very
all that. It's
essential.
very
Yeah.
important. But I remember a couple times last year, given the fact that we had just, you know, gone through COVID and the show was
It was the first time
back. Just the enormous gratitude that I felt from the audience. I mean, it was, I remember being so overwhelmed a few of the times at just the outpouring of love and how grateful they were that we were there again telling this story, bringing this on their journey. Many coming back to a tradition that they had for many, many years. So for me, being able to give that gift to our audiences is a big part of it. It's a big part of it.
It is, right? It's in so many ways essential theater because it's a story that does lead you through this cleansing. And with the amount of wonderful theater tricks, right?
Yeah.
This is a production filled with theatrical magic, which is something.
Song, dance, glitter,
flying.
Yeah.
It's spectacular, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget the blue light.
Lots of glitter.
Lots of blue light. That's good too.
Blue light, okay. Remembering blue light. So just before we sign off, and you have to come see this production, of course, because these performances are unique and gorgeous in and of themselves, but then part of the tapestry of this extraordinary storytelling. It's not to be missed. What is something that you hope will happen during this run of Christmas Carol for you? Personal or on stage or with our audiences or in our lobby? What's something
Fell
that
down the
comes to mind?
stairs in a show last year. I hope
No,
that
that
doesn't
is
happen.
not what we're gonna.
But you did it with such grace.
Well, you know, it was great. It was very sort of. I was like,
athletic and like gymnastic and like, I mean, the stage management team
He does have clowning background, ladies and
when
gentlemen.
I got down to the,
absolutely spectacular.
I didn't even know it happened. I was on
like,
stage.
I meant to do that.
Yes. Oh, you did. Yes.
Really something else.
I just heard about it.
It was all in slow motion, and I basically stayed on my feet.
My prayer is no accidents, no falls, no colds, no flu, no nothing but magic moments. I imagine, Jam, I hear your father's presence in that theater in some way. Do you know?
But it's also, there's something just about as an actor being able to come back again to something, to be able to deepen. Like what a gift for a performer to be able to, like you end around and you're like, man, I wish.
Right.
And like that.
Next year, I'll do that.
But then this year I can like come in and I go, well, I feel like I want to explore, the joy more. Okay, more about the joy, or
Of
like
the
how
present,
do I
and how you
approach
talk about
that,
how the present needs to radiate certain things to come across as how important the present is.
But I think just enjoying the process of visiting it again. And the opportunity that we get as actors to like get another go, right? Another go at redeeming, another go at
Which
like,
you don't always get.
You don't always get.
Right.
Yeah.
Such a gift to come back to a role time after time. I hope the gasps and the screams from the student matinees happen again.
Oh, they will. They will.
Yeah.
They absolutely will.
Yeah, there's enough scary stuff in here that we know there'll be gasps and screams and joy at the end. Thank you all for being such an essential part of this wonderful holiday tradition. As I said before, right, performances start November 23rd This year we run till December 29th. We also have a special cabaret happening on December 17th. Look on our webpage. John Andrew Morrison, Tony-nominated extraordinary singer and performer, is going to be sharing a cabaret of songs with us.
And it's also a sing-along.
And it's also a sing-along. So there's two ways to enjoy Christmas at Hartford
So
Stage.
there are parts where we give you a chance to sing along with us. And
So come see Christmas Carol, either before or after you come to Jam's Cabaret on December 17th. Tickets are available at hartfordstage.org. All the information is there. And then, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, we have an amazing rest of the season after Christmas Carol. The storytelling continues. August Wilson's amazing play, Two Trains Running. Then a very, very funny sort of cross between I Love Lucy and a telenovela in Laughs in Spanish. And Romeo and Juliet, which I'll be directing. Come see, young love and great sword fighting. There'll be a lot of movement and energy in that. And then the wonderful new comedy, Hurricane Diane. All the information about these productions is, of course, on our website. But most of all, and most importantly right now, come join us for Christmas Carol. Come rejoice with the holidays. For me, the darkness of this time of year is so hard. And I love how much light these holidays bring to us and how much light Christmas Carol brings to our stage. I'll see you at the theater. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.